1. Introduction. Have you ever been in a situation where you wish you could go back and say exactly what you meant? Perhaps it was during a job interview where the words just didn't flow, or in an argument when you froze and couldn't express your thoughts. Or maybe it was that important presentation where your mind went completely blank, leaving you in regret. These moments are all too familiar. We have all been there, those times when we wish we had spoken up with clarity and confidence, but the moment slipped away. In a world that moves at lightning speed, where decisions are made in seconds and conversations are often filled with pressure, the ability to think quickly and communicate effectively is more valuable than ever. It's not just about speaking, it's about having the influence, impact, and control to turn even the most awkward situations into opportunities. The ability to respond on the spot, to think fast and talk smart, can change the way others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. This podcast is all about turning those moments of regret into moments of power. We will dive into strategies and techniques that will help you think faster, speak more intelligently, and conquer communication barriers with ease. You will learn how to speak confidently under pressure, handle difficult conversations, and ultimately become the person who can own any room. If you've ever wished for the power to communicate without hesitation, this is your chance to make that wish a reality. Let's get started. 2. The fear that freezes us. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where the words just wouldn't come? You stood there, eyes locked on you, heart racing, and suddenly your mind went completely blank. It's like the whole room is waiting for you to speak, but your body betrays you, freezing up. Maybe you've been in a job interview, a meeting, or a conversation where you just couldn't think of the right words. The pressure to respond quickly makes the silence feel unbearable. In those moments, fear takes over, and it holds you back from expressing your thoughts clearly. So, why does this happen? Why do we freeze in these critical moments? It's simple. Fear. The fear of saying the wrong thing, of being judged, of making a fool of ourselves. These fears create a wall in our minds, paralyzing us in those split seconds when we need to think fast and speak up. It's a universal experience. Even the most confident, quick-witted individuals have faced these exact moments. The difference is they've learned to use that fear rather than be controlled by it. Our brains are wired to react to fear. It's part of our primal survival mechanism, the fight-or-flight response. When we feel threatened, whether it's by a difficult question or an unexpected situation, our brains prepare us to fight back or run away. This rush of adrenaline can cloud our thinking, making it harder to respond effectively. But what if we could change our perception of fear? What if, instead of seeing it as a barrier, we saw it as a motivator, a source of energy that sharpens our thinking? This is the key to thinking faster under pressure. It's not about eliminating fear entirely, but rather learning to redirect it. When you can recognize fear as a natural response and use it to fuel your clarity, your brain will work for you, not against you. The next time you face a challenging situation, try this. Take a deep breath, acknowledge the fear, and then channel that energy into a more focused, thoughtful response. Remember, fear doesn't have to freeze you. It can be the very thing that propels you forward if you know how to harness it. The goal isn't to be fearless, it's to be brave enough to push through fear and perform in those critical moments. Once you can master this, you'll not only think faster, but also speak with more confidence and impact. This shift in mindset is the first step to becoming the communicator you've always wanted to be. The art of buying time. Have you ever been asked a tough question and felt like the pressure was overwhelming? Maybe you're in a meeting, a conversation, or a presentation, and someone throws a curveball your way. You feel like everyone is staring, waiting for a response. Your mind races, trying to come up with the perfect answer on the spot, but nothing seems to come. It's moments like these when the ability to buy yourself time becomes your greatest tool. The truth is, the smartest communicators are not always the fastest. In fact, sometimes the best responses come not in the moment, but after a brief pause. It's not about being the first to answer, it's about being the one who gives the most thoughtful and composed response. When you pause, you give yourself a moment to breathe, gather your thoughts, and consider your options. And that pause can make you appear far more in control than if you rush to speak. So, how do you buy time effectively without looking like you are stalling? One simple strategy is to repeat or reframe the question. When someone asks you something complex or challenging, instead of jumping into a response right away, restate or reframe the question. Not only does this buy you valuable time, but it also shows that you're giving the question proper thought. For example, if someone asks, "How would you handle this situation?" you can respond by saying, "That's a great question. Handling situations like this requires a balance of quick thinking and careful consideration." By doing this, you show that you're not just answering for the sake of answering, but are actually reflecting on the matter at hand. Another powerful way to buy time is with humor. Humor, when used strategically, is like a reset button for tense moments. A light-hearted comment can diffuse the pressure and buy you the seconds you need to think. For instance, if someone throws a difficult question your way, you might laugh lightly and say, "Well, that's a $1,000,000 question," or "I guess we're really testing my wisdom here." This helps break the tension and puts the conversation back in your control. Now, it's important to remember that humor should never be used to avoid the question completely or to undermine the situation. Instead, it's about giving yourself a break, making the environment less intimidating, and allowing yourself to regain composure. Humor, when applied appropriately, resets the emotional temperature of the conversation, helping you stay calm and centered while you think about your response. One of the most powerful techniques for buying time is using silence. Silence can feel uncomfortable, but it's an incredibly effective tool for buying time in a conversation. When you pause, you don't just buy time for yourself, you also signal to the other person that you are considering your response carefully. People often rush to fill silence with words, but the best communicators know that silence is a strategic move. It shows that you are not only present but also deeply engaged in the conversation. For example, imagine being asked a question that requires a thoughtful, well-reasoned response. Instead of jumping in with the first thing that comes to mind, you take a moment. In that brief silence, you are gathering your thoughts, assessing the situation, and finding the clearest path forward. The result? You come across as composed, confident, and in control. Silence can even help you steer the conversation in a more productive direction. Remember, buying time doesn't mean you are unprepared or uncertain. It simply means you are taking the necessary steps to give a more polished, thoughtful response. In a world that often values speed over substance, those who can pause, think, and respond with precision stand out as truly skilled communicators. The next time you find yourself on the spot, don't feel pressured to answer immediately. Instead, embrace the power of pausing, humor, or even reframing the question. By mastering the art of buying time, you can transform moments of uncertainty into opportunities to shine. The key is not rushing, but strategically using time to deliver the most confident, impactful response possible. The power of precision. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone spoke for what seemed like ages, only to leave you wondering, what did they actually say? We've all been there, listening to someone ramble, hoping they'll eventually get to the point. It's frustrating, isn't it? Well, the truth is, the most persuasive communicators are not the ones who talk the most, but the ones who speak with precision. It's not about saying more, it's about saying exactly what matters. In a world overflowing with information, the ability to speak with precision is an invaluable skill. Precision isn't just about being concise, it's about delivering your message with clarity and impact. When you communicate with precision, you cut through the noise. Your words are sharp, focused, and purposeful, leaving no room for confusion. You don't need to ramble on to make an impact. Just a few well-chosen words can be more powerful than a whole paragraph of fluff. So how do you develop the power of precision in your speech? The first step is to trim the unnecessary. Before you respond to a question, consider what the core message is. What is the most straightforward way to convey your point? Think about how much time you've wasted in conversations trying to find the perfect words or over-explaining your ideas. Instead of getting caught in the urge to justify every statement, focus on what truly matters. For example, if someone asks for your opinion, instead of hedging your response with words like, "I kind of think," or "I believe," just say, "I think this will work," because clear and direct language is more compelling than an overly cautious response. The beauty of precision lies in its simplicity. The most effective communicators don't overcomplicate things. They speak directly, leaving no room for ambiguity. When you know exactly what you want to say, your message resonates with your audience more effectively. For instance, if you're explaining an idea at work, instead of diving into unnecessary background details, you can focus on the solution and why it matters. When your words are focused, you show that you respect your audience's time, and that makes them more likely to listen. Another key element of precision is understanding your purpose before responding. Why are you speaking? Are you trying to inform, persuade, challenge, or simply connect? Knowing your goal shapes the way you express yourself. It helps you stay on track and prevent unnecessary tangents. For instance, if you're in a meeting and someone brings up a new idea, you don't need to launch into a lengthy analysis. Instead, get straight to your main point. Here's why this approach might work, or here's how we could improve on this idea. Your words become more potent when they align with your purpose. Mastering the power of precision also means learning how to redirect conversations. Have you ever been in a discussion where the topic completely derailed? It happens all the time. And while it's easy to let the conversation drift, effective communicators know how to bring it back. Let's say someone tries to sidetrack your discussion in a meeting. Instead of getting flustered, you can acknowledge the diversion and guide the conversation back to the main point. That's an interesting perspective, but let's return to how we can tackle the issue at hand. This approach not only helps you regain control of the conversation, but also shows you have the focus and clarity to drive it forward. Listening actively is another crucial part of speaking with precision. When you genuinely listen to what others are saying, you can respond more directly to their points. Most of us tend to listen to respond, which often leads to misunderstandings or missing key details. But when you pause, absorb their words, and then reply thoughtfully, you are speaking with intention. Your response will be more relevant and impactful because it addresses exactly what was said, not what you assumed or wanted to say in the moment. Precision in communication is also about framing your message in a way that engages your audience. It's not just about getting your point across, it's about doing so in a way that leaves an impression. One way to do this is by using examples or analogies that make your message more relatable. A well-placed analogy can simplify complex ideas and make them more digestible. For example, if you're explaining a business strategy, you could say, "It's like assembling a jigsaw puzzle. Every piece needs to fit together to create the bigger picture." This comparison adds clarity and helps your listener visualize the concept. The more you practice precision in your communication, the more natural it will become. Instead of relying on long-winded explanations or the temptation to fill silence with unnecessary words, you'll find that your thoughts will flow more freely and your message will have greater impact. The key is to focus on what truly matters and express it clearly. Think about it. Have you ever been struck by a speaker who said just a few words but left you thinking long after they finished? That's the power of precision. It's the ability to make every word count, to deliver your message in the most impactful way possible, and to leave your audience with something to remember. Precision doesn't just make you a better speaker, it makes you a more effective communicator. Someone who can speak with intention, influence others, and create meaningful connections. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation, don't feel pressured to fill every moment with words. Instead, take a breath, focus on what truly matters, and deliver your message with precision. The more you practice, the more powerful your words will become. And in a world full of noise, that's a skill that will set you apart. 5. Reading the room. Have you ever entered a conversation and right away you could tell something was off? Maybe it was the body language, the tense silence, or the subtle glance that said more than words ever could. Understanding the unspoken dynamics of a conversation, what's happening beyond the words, is one of the most powerful skills in communication. This ability to read the room allows you to adjust your approach, understand the emotions in play, and connect more effectively with those around you. Reading the room is a skill that goes beyond merely listening to words. It's about paying attention to the subtle cues, the body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and even silence that reveal what people are really thinking and feeling. This skill enables you to respond in ways that resonate more deeply, making your communication not just about speaking, but about truly connecting. Think about the last time you were in a meeting and someone made a comment that seemed to make everyone uncomfortable. What did you notice? Did you sense a shift in the energy in the room? That change in atmosphere is often your first clue that something deeper is happening. When you develop the ability to read these cues, you start to pick up on what's really going on in a conversation, beyond what's being said. So how do you start reading the room more effectively? First, it begins with observation. The best communicators are often the ones who observe the smallest details before they speak. Look for shifts in posture or facial expressions. Are people leaning forward, showing interest, or are they pulling back, crossing their arms or looking at their phones? These physical signs often indicate the level of engagement or discomfort in the room. One key thing to observe is how people are physically responding to the conversation. For example, when someone is genuinely interested, they may make eye contact, lean in slightly, or nod their heads in agreement. On the other hand, when people feel disengaged or uncomfortable, their body language may be more closed off. They might cross their arms, avoid eye contact, or lean back in their chair. These signals can help you gauge the mood of the room and adjust your communication accordingly. But it's not just about reading physical signs. You also need to pay attention to the tone of the conversation. Tone is often the best indicator of how people are feeling. If the tone is light and relaxed, you can likely keep the conversation casual. However, if the tone becomes tense or defensive, it's time to adjust. When the mood shifts, ask yourself, why did that change? Was there a statement that triggered a response? Did someone's body language change, indicating that they felt uncomfortable or threatened? One of the most powerful tools in reading the room is recognizing when the conversation is taking a turn, even if no one is speaking. Sometimes, silence can speak volumes. A pause, especially after a difficult question or a sensitive topic, can create a moment of tension. Recognizing this, you have the opportunity to either address the tension or let it settle. This is where empathy and active listening come into play. When silence falls, rather than rushing in to fill it, use that moment to reflect on the mood of the room and adjust your approach accordingly. At times, a conversation might seem to stall or even derail. This can happen when people disagree or feel defensive, but it's crucial not to panic. Instead, use the opportunity to reset the conversation. This could mean asking an open-ended question that invites more discussion or shifting the topic gently if things feel too heated. For instance, if the conversation is becoming too emotional, you might say, "I think we're all passionate about this issue, but let's take a step back and think about it logically." This helps refocus the group without dismissing anyone's emotions. Another important aspect of reading the room is recognizing when to speak up and when to stay quiet. Sometimes the best thing you can do is listen, particularly when emotions are high. If someone is upset, they may not be looking for a solution right away. They just need to be heard. So rather than immediately offering advice or counter-arguments, take a moment to listen actively and acknowledge their feelings. This shows you understand their perspective and builds trust. This is especially important in difficult conversations, where taking the time to understand someone's emotions can diffuse a potential conflict. But there's also power in knowing when to speak. Sometimes there are moments when the room needs a bit of humor or lightness to reset the atmosphere. If the mood is tense and you feel the timing is right, a light-hearted comment or a well-placed joke can make everyone relax. The key is to be sensitive to the situation. If you can feel that people are starting to disengage, don't be afraid to throw out a comment to lighten the mood. This doesn't mean you're being insincere or evasive, but rather you're creating a space where the conversation can continue in a more comfortable way. The most important takeaway from learning how to read the room is to remember that communication is fluid. People's responses, feelings, and engagement will shift throughout a conversation. Being able to track those changes and adapt accordingly is what separates effective communicators from those who miss the nuances of a discussion. So how can you improve your ability to read the room? Start by becoming more mindful of your surroundings. Pay attention to the body language of others and ask yourself what the unspoken cues might be telling you. Watch how the group reacts to certain topics and adapt your approach based on the energy in the room. The more you practice reading the room, the more intuitive it will become. In summary, reading the room is not just about observing the physical actions of others, it's about tuning into the emotional landscape of the conversation. By learning to read these unspoken signals, you can better understand what others need and adjust your communication to match the mood and tone of the room. This allows you to connect more deeply, avoid misunderstandings, and guide the conversation in a way that resonates with everyone involved. As you practice this skill, you'll find that your ability to communicate and influence others grows stronger, making you a more effective and impactful communicator. 6. Confidence and competence. Loop. Confidence and competence. These two qualities are the foundation of powerful communication. But what happens when they work together? When you combine the belief in your ability to communicate effectively with the actual skill of doing so, you create a loop that can elevate your influence, your impact, and your presence in any conversation. Imagine walking into a room, whether it's a meeting, a presentation, or a social gathering. You might feel a flutter of nervousness at first, but instead of being overwhelmed by self-doubt, you take a deep breath and remind yourself of what you know. You know you have valuable insights to share. You know that you have the ability to contribute to the conversation. This is the power of confidence. Confidence isn't just about feeling good in the moment. It's about believing in your ability to communicate, even when the situation feels uncertain. When you exude confidence, people respond positively, and your competence becomes more apparent. Confidence makes others trust in your abilities before you even speak a word. But here's the catch: confidence alone isn't enough. Without competence, confidence can come across as arrogance. Competence is the substance that backs up your confidence. It's the knowledge, the skills, and the preparation that allow you to deliver on your promises. When you are competent, your confidence is grounded in reality, and it becomes a powerful tool that draws others to you. So how does the confidence and competence loop work? It's simple. When you act with confidence, you open yourself up to opportunities where you can demonstrate your competence, and when you demonstrate competence, your confidence grows. The more you apply yourself, the more experience you gain, and the more your competence increases. This creates a positive feedback loop. Confidence leads to action, which leads to competence, and competence reinforces your confidence. Let's take a moment to break this down. Think about a time when you felt truly confident in a conversation or presentation. What made you feel confident? Was it because you had prepared? Was it because you knew your material well? Likely, it was a combination of both. When you walk into a conversation prepared, whether it's knowing your talking points, having background information, or simply understanding your audience, you naturally feel more confident. Preparation gives you the competence to handle whatever comes your way. Now let's think about a time when you lacked confidence. Perhaps you were asked an unexpected question, or you had to speak on a topic you weren't familiar with. In those moments, your lack of competence in that area may have caused you to hesitate, stammer, or become defensive. But here's the good news. Just like the loop can go down, it can go up too. The more you practice, the more prepared you are for similar situations in the future. As your competence grows, so does your confidence. This loop isn't just about the knowledge or skills you already have, it's also about the mindset you bring to every conversation. When you approach a conversation or presentation with the belief that you can handle it, that mindset shifts how you show up. You might not have all the answers, but your confidence allows you to approach the conversation with an openness to learn and a willingness to engage. If you want to strengthen the confidence and competence loop, there are a few strategies you can apply. First, prepare thoroughly. Take time to understand the topics you'll be discussing. If you know your material, you can respond more effectively even in unpredictable situations. Preparation doesn't just involve facts and figures. It also involves mentally rehearsing how you want to communicate. Visualize yourself speaking confidently, handling tough questions with ease, and contributing to the conversation with authority. Second, embrace the power of practice. Think of every conversation, every meeting, and every presentation as an opportunity to build your competence. Each time you speak, you gain more experience. And that experience builds competence, which feeds back into your confidence. The more you practice, the more you refine your communication skills, making each conversation smoother, more impactful, and more enjoyable. Third, adopt a growth mindset. Understand that you are not expected to be perfect and that mistakes are a part of the learning process. When you allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from them, you build both competence and confidence. This mindset shift is crucial. Rather than fearing failure, see it as an opportunity to grow. Every challenge you face adds to your competence, and every step you take to improve boosts your confidence. Lastly, focus on consistency. The more you consistently show up with confidence and competence, the more natural it will become. You'll start to recognize patterns in your own behavior, and soon enough, you'll find yourself responding quickly and effectively in any situation. You will become a master of the confidence and competence loop. In summary, the confidence and competence loop is a dynamic process that feeds on itself. As you grow in one area, the other strengthens. Confidence allows you to act with assurance, while competence ensures that your actions are impactful. By preparing, practicing, embracing mistakes, and remaining consistent, you can harness this loop to enhance your communication and influence. When you master this loop, you won't just speak with confidence, you'll speak with the power to make an impact, to persuade, and to inspire. 7. Humor as a communication tool. Humor is one of the most powerful tools in communication. It has the ability to transform a tense conversation, break down barriers, and make you more relatable. When used correctly, humor can help you connect with others, ease awkwardness, and even influence how your message is received. However, like any tool, it needs to be used strategically. It's not about being a stand-up comedian. It's about knowing when and how to incorporate humor in a way that enhances your message and builds rapport. So why is humor so effective in communication? At its core, humor is a tool that helps disarm tension. In difficult or high-pressure conversations, humor can be the difference between a hostile standoff and a productive discussion. Picture yourself in a meeting or a conversation where things are getting a bit too serious. People are focused on the problem, and the energy in the room feels heavy. Now imagine someone cracks a joke or makes a light-hearted comment that doesn't undermine the seriousness of the situation, but lightens the mood. Suddenly everyone relaxes a little. But humor isn't just about making others laugh, it's also about using humor to your advantage. When you incorporate humor into your communication, it makes you more memorable. Think about it. When someone tells a great story or makes a funny observation during a conversation, it sticks with you. It's a way of engaging people and keeping their attention. People don't remember dry facts or monotonous speeches, but they remember the moments that made them laugh. Humor has a way of engraving itself into people's minds, ensuring that your message stays with them long after the conversation ends. One of the most important aspects of using humor is timing. It's not just about saying something funny, it's about knowing when to say it. Humor that is inserted at the right moment can relieve stress, build trust, and even make your words more impactful. For example, in a tense negotiation, a well-timed humorous remark can reduce the pressure and reset the tone of the conversation. It shows that you can handle the situation with grace and intelligence, making others feel more comfortable. Humor is often the key to turning what could be an uncomfortable or confrontational moment into a chance to build rapport. Another crucial aspect of using humor effectively is relevance. Humor should always align with the context of the conversation. A joke that is out of place or insensitive can backfire and create distance instead of connection. For instance, making a sarcastic comment during a serious discussion can diminish your credibility, while humor that is relevant to the situation can make you seem more in tune with the atmosphere and the people you're speaking to. It shows that you're paying attention and that you understand the dynamics of the conversation. Self-deprecating humor is another powerful tool in communication. When you can laugh at yourself, it shows that you don't take yourself too seriously, which makes you more approachable. Self-deprecation breaks down the walls of perfectionism and allows others to see you as human. It creates a sense of humility and authenticity, making people feel more comfortable around you. For example, if you make a mistake in a conversation, instead of becoming defensive or embarrassed, acknowledging it with a self-deprecating comment can diffuse any tension and turn the moment into a shared experience. However, there's a fine line when it comes to self-deprecating humor. While it can be a powerful tool, overusing it can undermine your confidence and make you appear insecure. The key is balance. Don't rely on self-deprecation as a way to deflect attention or seek validation. Use it sparingly and in a way that enhances your relatability without diminishing your self-worth. When done right, self-deprecating humor humanizes you and fosters trust, but remember to always maintain a sense of confidence. Humor also plays a role in building relationships. Shared laughter is one of the easiest ways to bond with others. When you make someone laugh, you're not just entertaining them, you're showing them a part of your personality, and you're creating a moment of connection. In any relationship, whether professional or personal, humor can help break the ice and build a sense of camaraderie. It makes interactions more enjoyable and less formal, allowing people to let their guard down. Humor has a way of opening doors and paving the way for more meaningful connections. In addition to making you more approachable, humor also makes you appear more confident. When you use humor in a conversation, it shows that you're comfortable in your own skin and that you're not afraid to inject some lightness into a serious situation. Confidence is magnetic, and when you're able to make others laugh, you instantly become more attractive as a conversationalist. Humor signals that you're self-assured and in control of the situation. People are drawn to those who can stay composed and even make light of tense moments. But humor is not just a way to be more likable, it's also a strategy to navigate difficult conversations. Whether you're giving feedback, addressing a challenging topic, or even delivering bad news, humor can help you communicate with empathy and sensitivity. For example, if you're giving a difficult piece of feedback, a well-placed, light-hearted remark can help soften the delivery, making the conversation less confrontational and more collaborative. It allows you to connect with the other person and show that you're on their side, even as you address the tough issue at hand. So how can you improve your use of humor in communication? Start by paying attention to the moments when humor naturally arises in conversation. Notice how it impacts the flow of the interaction and how it makes people feel. Experiment with timing. See how a well-placed pause or a humorous comment can change the direction of a conversation. Practice reading the room and adjusting your humor to fit the energy of the situation. And most importantly, don't overthink it. Humor should feel natural and authentic, not forced. In conclusion, humor is a tool that, when used correctly, can elevate your communication to new heights. It makes you more relatable, more memorable, and more confident. It diffuses tension, builds rapport, and makes your messages more impactful. Humor is not just about making people laugh, it's about creating an environment where people feel comfortable, heard, and engaged. Whether you're trying to break the ice, influence a conversation, or simply connect with others, humor is your secret weapon. So the next time you're in a conversation, remember that a little humor can go a long way in creating the connection and impact you desire. 8. Handling high-pressure situations. Handling high-pressure situations is a skill that can make or break your communication effectiveness. Whether you're facing a challenging job interview, navigating a heated debate, or dealing with an unexpected crisis, how you respond under pressure determines not only the outcome of the situation, but also how people perceive you. It's easy to freeze, stumble over your words, or react impulsively when the stakes are high. But with the right approach, you can turn pressure into an opportunity to shine. Let's explore how you can master high-pressure situations and communicate effectively, no matter what. The first key to handling pressure is understanding that pressure is not your enemy. It's a signal that something important is happening. When we face high-stress situations, our bodies automatically go into fight or flight mode. Our hearts race, our palms sweat, and our minds feel overwhelmed by the rush of thoughts. This physical response is natural, and while it may feel like a setback, it's actually your body preparing you to tackle the challenge. The trick is to reframe how you view pressure. Instead of seeing it as something that will cause you to falter, view it as a sign that you have an opportunity to showcase your skills and make a lasting impact. When you're under pressure, staying calm is crucial. The ability to remain composed even when everyone around you is panicking sets you apart as a confident leader. A calm demeanor allows you to think more clearly, process information effectively, and make better decisions. The first step to staying calm is breathing. When the pressure mounts, take a deep breath. This simple act of pausing allows you to regain control over your emotions and signals to others that you are in command of the situation. By breathing deeply and slowing down, you can make a more thoughtful and deliberate response, even when time seems to be running out. Another important technique to handle high-pressure situations is reframing. When faced with a challenging question, uncomfortable feedback, or a tough situation, it's easy to get caught up in the negative emotions that arise. However, instead of focusing on the pressure or fear of making a mistake, reframe the situation as an opportunity. Shift your mindset from "I can't mess this up" to "this is my chance to show what I can do." This shift in perspective helps you maintain a positive and proactive attitude, making it easier to stay focused and deliver your message confidently. Once you've reframed the situation, it's important to simplify your response. Under pressure, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the complexity of a situation, and in an effort to impress or provide a perfect solution, you might find yourself speaking quickly or rambling. However, the best communicators know that simplicity is key. Instead of overthinking or over-explaining, focus on delivering a clear, concise message. Break down your response into simple, digestible points. This not only makes it easier for your audience to understand, but also helps you regain control of the conversation. Remember, when the pressure is on, less is often more. In addition to clarity, confidence plays a significant role in high-pressure situations. It's easy to lose confidence when we feel the weight of everyone's expectations or when we worry about being judged. However, confidence is contagious, and when you project self-assurance, it calms the situation and reassures those around you. Confidence doesn't mean you have all the answers or that you never feel nervous. It means you trust in your ability to handle the situation, even if the outcome is uncertain. When you show confidence, others are more likely to trust you, follow your lead, and give you the space to manage the situation effectively. Of course, even the most confident and calm individuals don't always have the answers right away, especially in high-pressure situations. Sometimes you won't have all the information you need, and that's okay. One of the most powerful tools you can use is the art of asking questions. When you find yourself in a high-pressure scenario, take a moment to ask clarifying questions. This not only buys you time, but also shows that you're engaged and thinking critically. By asking questions, you gain a deeper understanding of the situation, allowing you to respond more strategically. You're not simply reacting to pressure, you're taking control by making informed decisions. Another aspect of handling high-pressure situations is managing your emotional state. In stressful moments, it's easy to become reactive and let your emotions take the wheel. However, emotional control is essential. Instead of letting anger, frustration, or fear dictate your responses, practice emotional regulation. If you feel your emotions rising, pause, breathe, and acknowledge what you're feeling. Understanding your emotions allows you to separate your personal reactions from the task at hand, so you can respond in a calm, rational way. Effective communication in high-pressure situations also relies on your ability to read the room. Understanding the mood, tone, and energy of the people around you can give you the insights you need to adjust your approach. Are people tense? Are they anxious or distracted? By noticing these cues, you can adjust your communication style to either calm the room or rally others into action. If people are stressed, a soft tone and empathetic language may help ease their nerves. If the room is uncertain, a confident, authoritative voice can help guide the group forward. In moments of high pressure, you also want to be mindful of the timing of your responses. When emotions are high, it can be easy to react impulsively, but this often leads to regret later. Instead, give yourself permission to pause. A brief pause before speaking allows you to gather your thoughts and organize your response. This pause not only helps you think more clearly, but also signals to others that you're taking the conversation seriously and that you're in control of your words. Finally, it's important to embrace the fact that mistakes are inevitable. In high-pressure situations, there will be moments where things don't go as planned. You might misstep, stumble over words, or even say something you regret. But how you recover from those moments is what truly matters. Instead of becoming flustered or defensive, acknowledge the mistake, recover quickly, and move forward. People respect those who can own their mistakes and keep going, especially under pressure. Handling high-pressure situations is about more than just surviving the moment. It's about thriving in it. By staying calm, reframing the situation, simplifying your response, and maintaining confidence, you can transform pressure into an opportunity to showcase your communication skills. When you master the art of managing pressure, you become someone who can navigate any situation with ease, command respect, and communicate effectively under the most challenging circumstances. The next time you find yourself in a high-pressure scenario, remember that you have the tools to succeed, and with practice, you'll handle these moments with grace and confidence. 9. Active listening for quick responses. Active listening is a cornerstone of effective communication, especially when it comes to thinking on your feet and responding quickly. Imagine a scenario where someone is speaking to you, and as they are talking, your mind is already thinking about what you want to say next. You're not truly listening to them, you're merely waiting for your turn to speak. This common habit, where we focus on our response rather than on understanding the speaker, is one of the key barriers to communication. It not only interrupts the flow of the conversation, but also makes your responses less relevant and often more reactive than thoughtful. In order to think quickly and speak smartly, we must first learn the power of active listening. Active listening is much more than hearing the words that are being spoken. It involves engaging with the speaker on a deeper level. It means understanding the meaning behind their words, picking up on nonverbal cues, and reflecting on what they are truly trying to communicate. This practice makes it easier to respond appropriately and with precision, which is especially important in high-stakes conversations where your ability to think fast is critical. One of the first steps to mastering active listening is to eliminate distractions. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded with stimuli. Our minds are jumping from task to task, making it difficult to stay present in the moment. When someone is speaking to you, make a conscious effort to clear your mind of any external distractions. This might mean putting down your phone or closing your laptop, maintaining eye contact, and focusing solely on the person in front of you. By doing so, you show the speaker that you value their words, and more importantly, you make space for your brain to fully absorb what they are saying. The second step is to listen with empathy. Empathy involves understanding the emotions and perspectives of the speaker. It's about recognizing what they are feeling and validating those emotions. This is a critical part of active listening because when people feel understood, they are more likely to open up and share more with you. In moments of high pressure or conflict, when emotions are heightened, this becomes even more important. Empathy allows you to stay grounded in the conversation, ensuring that your response is not just based on the words, but also on the underlying emotions and intentions. When you listen with empathy, you are also more likely to pick up on subtle cues that others might miss. For example, you might notice a slight hesitation in their voice, a shift in their body language, or a change in their tone. These cues can give you important insights into what the speaker might be feeling but is not saying outright. Understanding these nuances allows you to respond in a way that is not only relevant but also emotionally intelligent, which in turn makes you a more effective communicator. Another powerful tool for active listening is asking open-ended questions. Too often, we fall into the trap of asking questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no. These types of questions don't encourage conversation or further elaboration. Instead, Try to ask questions that invite the speaker to expand on their thoughts. Questions like, "How did that make you feel?" or "Can you explain that a bit more?" Show that you are genuinely interested in what they have to say and encourage them to provide more detailed responses. Open-ended questions also give you more material to work with, which helps you formulate a response that is thoughtful and relevant. Equally important is resisting the urge to interrupt. It's easy to want to jump in when someone says something that triggers a thought or when you have a solution to their problem. However, interrupting can be damaging to communication, as it often conveys that you're more interested in what you have to say than in what the speaker is expressing. Even if you have something valuable to add, it's important to let the speaker finish before you respond. If necessary, take a moment to pause after they have finished talking. This not only shows that you respect their point of view, but also gives you time to process their words and think of a response that truly adds value. Another aspect of active listening that enhances quick thinking is mirroring. Mirroring is a technique where you reflect back the words or emotions of the person you're speaking with. This could be as simple as repeating a phrase they just said or acknowledging their feelings. For example, if someone says, "I'm feeling really overwhelmed with this project," you might respond, "It sounds like this project is causing a lot of stress. What part of it is the most overwhelming for you?" This technique demonstrates that you're not just hearing their words, but are also emotionally attuned to their experience. By mirroring, you make the conversation feel more collaborative and ensure that you're aligned with the speaker's thoughts. One of the benefits of active listening is that it allows you to respond with greater clarity and precision. When you're truly listening, you are more likely to formulate a response that is directly relevant to what the other person is saying. It's easy to make quick, off-the-cuff remarks, but those remarks don't always hit the mark. In contrast, by listening carefully and giving yourself time to process the information, you'll be able to respond in a way that is not only thoughtful, but also impactful. The best communicators are often those who listen more than they speak. By practicing active listening, you create a deeper connection with the person you are conversing with, and this connection enables you to respond in a more meaningful way. Whether it's a casual conversation or a high-stakes meeting, active listening helps you understand the needs, emotions, and intentions behind the words being spoken. This understanding allows you to think faster and speak smarter, crafting responses that resonate and make an impact. In conclusion, active listening is an essential skill for thinking fast and speaking smart. It requires a shift in mindset, from waiting for your turn to speak to genuinely engaging with what the other person is saying. By eliminating distractions, listening with empathy, asking open-ended questions, resisting the urge to interrupt, and mirroring the speaker's words, you'll find that your ability to respond quickly and effectively improves dramatically. When you listen actively, not only do you enhance the quality of the conversation, but you also position yourself as a communicator who is thoughtful, engaged, and in control. The next time you're faced with a challenging conversation, remember, active listening is not just a skill, it's a tool for smarter, more effective communication. 10th conclusion. As we come to the end of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. Mastering the art of communication is not just about being quick-witted or eloquent. It is about building the confidence to speak with purpose, the ability to listen actively, and the wisdom to use silence and precision when necessary. We've explored how to think faster, talk smarter, and navigate the complexities of conversations, whether they are high-pressure situations or moments of conflict. Now more than ever, the ability to respond effectively and with intention is crucial. It is not just about the words you say, but how you make people feel. When you combine confidence with active listening, empathy, and strategic pauses, you can transform any conversation into a powerful moment of connection and influence. Remember, communication is an ongoing process. Each conversation is an opportunity to practice, refine, and grow. Whether it is a casual chat or a high-stakes presentation, the skills you have learned here can help you engage more deeply, think faster on your feet, and leave a lasting impact on those around you. Thank you so much for joining me in this exploration of communication. I hope the insights shared today inspire you to apply these strategies in your own life, making every conversation an opportunity to thrive. Keep practicing, stay curious, and continue to elevate your communication. The world needs your voice.